Besesihlele qeda ngoswede kwiqiqi unyambose.
Umozami ngithi.
Ukukhulu kusithoba kunjalo unyambose.
Bengobani labathi? Abantu abaphalaze ulwandle bebedudulana nabakaXhosa.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to ASR, African Stories Realized. This is our weekly review of Shaka iLembe Season 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Episode 5 picks up with Nongila and Ngwande on their mission to investigate the arrival of the British in the south. On their way, Nongila gave Ngwande something that didn't agree with his stomach, and while relieving himself, he got his first glimpse of a British soldier, leading them to their colony where they were actively fighting against the Xhosa. They immediately tried to make a run for it, but they were stopped in their tracks by a group of Boer farmers who thought they were trying to steal their cattle. They shot one of the Zulu guards and captured the remaining 3 men before taking them back to their camp. The Boers were ready to end their lives, but their Xhosa translator, Jacob, stopped them to question the Zulu men who had been accused of being cattle thieves. Nongila revealed their identities and told Jacob that they were sent by Shaka to meet the Xhosa king. The Boers bought their story and released the Zulu envoys, after which Jacob filled them in on the current dynamic between the Xhosa, the Boers, and the British. Meanwhile, Shaka and Dingiswayo joined forces against Matiwane after he invaded the Hlubi and refused to bend the knee to the Mthethwa king. Shaka led the Zulu and Mthethwa armies against Matiwane's Ngwane army, with Dingiswayo, who had been observing from afar, joining in to fight alongside Shaka in some majestic fighting scenes. They applied pressure on Matiwane's army, ultimately forcing him to retreat after Shaka claimed the lives of 2 of his royal guards while pursuing him. Following their victory, the Zulu and Mthethwa armies celebrated, with even Somveli receiving praise for his efforts on the battlefield. It was then revealed that the KwaBulawayo king had passed away, with his son Unomo requesting support from Dingiswayo to challenge his brother Phakathwayo for the KwaBulawayo throne. However, Dingiswayo refused to interfere in the royal matters of the KwaBulawayo, promising Nomo that he would only support him if his brother declared war. Shaka did not agree. He confronted Dingiswayo about his marriage to the Ndondwe princess and encouraged Dingiswayo to support Nomo's claim for the KwaBulawayo throne, insisting that they had to get rid of Phakathwayo before he became a problem. However, Dingiswayo reiterated that he wouldn't interfere and urged Shaka not to interfere either. Despite the tension, the 2 leaders parted on amicable terms, with Dingiswayo thanking Shaka for his support. Back in Guanobamba, Mkabayi cautioned Shaka against building a bigger royal palace than the ones in other capitals, which she warned might be seen as provocation by the KwaBulawayo and the Mthethwa, who they pledged to. However, Nandi defended the decision, insisting that they were building for the future. We are then introduced to Shaka's new palace, KwaBulawayo, where Liyana questioned Shaka's motivation behind building such a grand palace, joking that he must be planning to have many wives and children. But Shaka denied having any interest in marriage and claimed that he was rather building it as a symbol of the Zulu people's strength. Later that evening, Liyana brought Shaka some food, where she earned his trust before the couple made love under the stars. Meanwhile, Dingiswayo and Somveli took a dip in the ocean, where Dingiswayo encouraged his son to find a wife because he will need to be married if he is to succeed him. However, Somveli's uncle had grown increasingly suspicious of his nephew after finding out from a Tsonga trader that the Mthethwa prince had never been seen in their lands like he claimed. Somveli's uncle ordered one of the Mthethwa men to find out if his nephew had ever visited the Ndondwe capital. However, Somveli soon found out about his uncle's investigation and intercepted his messenger, slaughtering him before he could report back on Somveli's presence in the Ndondwe capital. Meanwhile, Dingiswayo was aimlessly walking into a trap as he got closer to Ntombazana, accusing her of being a spy for her grandmother. However, the Mthethwa king couldn't resist the Ndondwe princess as they consummated their marriage on the beach amongst the ocean waves. In Ndondwe, Mthethwa decided to flee the Ndondwe kingdom. However, she was quickly spotted, forcing Skwinyana to track her down. Mthethwa revealed that she was going home, and Skwinyana offered to run away with her. However, he insisted that they had to wait for a distraction before fleeing. Meanwhile, Soshangane and Mzilikazi had a private meeting where Mzilikazi questioned why Soshangane had been kept out of royal business ever since his altercation with Nomahlanjana. But Soshangane kept the peace, insisting that there was no reason to take sides. However, later that evening, The two warriors would bear witness to a gruesome scene as Zwide confronted Melusi for harboring the Mthethwa messenger who was sent to investigate if Somveli had ever been in Ngwande. Melusi, who is married to Dingiswayo's sister, denied having any knowledge of the messenger's investigation, but the episode ends with Zwide stabbing Melusi before his mother's hyenas arrived to finish him off. Today's episode was non-stop, from the introduction of the British colony and the Boers to the tension between Shaka and Dingiswayo. I love the fighting scene with the two kings fighting side by side, and the show is doing really well to show how Dingiswayo has drifted away from Shaka and put his trust in the treacherous Somveli. With Shaka and Dingiswayo's philosophies continuing to clash, he could no longer trust him going forward. Someone commented last week that they miss the old Dingiswayo, and while it may seem like he's aimlessly walking into a trap, I think the show has done well to depict that age has taken its toll on him. That's why he joined the battle after Matiwane basically insulted him and made fun of his Asian physique. Soshanga's story is still coming together. His friendship with Mzilikazi plays a big part down the line, and you can already see the two having doubts over how things are done in Ngwande. I like how Mthethwa and Liyana's storyline has developed. She had no say in if she got married and who she got married to, so I think her story is a good representation of how women were treated at that time, even if they were royalty. As much as Zwide's plans are coming together, he's losing the faith of two of his best warriors and his son, who are all looking for a way out. The British and the Boers had a great introduction, and I love the exposition from our Xhosa translator, who explained the current situation in the coast. Even if we don't see much more of the British and the Boers this season, I think it was a really great introduction. Shaka iLembe is turning into a celebration of Southern African history with all these origins intertwining, so I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce characters like Adam Cock III and the Griquas down the line. Some people might feel that Shaka's not really in the show enough this season, but I think it's important to show us the impact that Shaka's reign was having on other groups and characters, instead of just focusing on the lead most of the time. That's where the show really shines through. The world building from day one has been epic. I've also seen some criticism that Shaka might be too soft, but I think he's very much in control, and we will see a more ruthless and unhinged side of him as the character develops. It was nice to see him get some action today, and if I remember correctly, Shaka did have a wife in the original 1986 show, so it'll be interesting to see if Shaka iLembe uses the same formula. It's great to see so many actors getting work and a production that takes itself very seriously. They took great care making this show. We are officially halfway through the second season of Shaka iLembe, and I'm really enjoying reviewing this show with you guys. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with another review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is ASR for the love of African filmmaking and storytelling.